Star Wars video games have been in a very rocky place for a long time now. Star Wars Outlaws was a flop. I enjoyed my time with that game, but it was extremely shallow. I thought it could have been much better, much deeper, but it ended up being a run-of-the-mill Ubisoft game. Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order are obviously fantastic from a storytelling perspective, but those games were released in not the best states performance-wise. A lot of people had issues running Jedi Survivor. I know the frame rates for me in Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor were pretty rough at some point, but the story really carried those. And then other than that, we haven't gotten much in the video game space for Star Wars, which is really sad to say. So let's talk about Star Wars Zero Company, the next big Star Wars game, which is from Bit Reactor in collaboration with Respawn Entertainment, who did Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. This is a real-time strategy, top-down type turn-based game that I have no experience with. I haven't played these type of games before. The only thing I can really relate to is Empire at War, which was a huge, grand-scale battle simulator. This is a much more intimate, smaller scale battle game. But the studio behind this is Bit Reactor, who created the SOCOM games, which I haven't played, but everyone who has played them says they are absolutely fantastic. So we know that we are getting a studio who's at the top of their game in this genre of gaming, which is exciting. And then Respawn is on board to assist with the story of the game, which obviously they've proven to be fantastic Star Wars storytellers. So I think there's a really great marriage of talent for this game, and I'm excited to just try a new genre of gaming, and I hope it opens me up to try more of these style of games. The other exciting aspect of this game is that it does take place during the Clone Wars, and this is the more covert side of the Clone Wars. Of course, there's a piece of me that wishes we were getting large-scale battles and stuff like Empire at War, but the way they describe it, it's very much boots on the ground, Andor-style spy thriller missions that we're going to be taking part in, which is very exciting. They specifically cited Andor as an inspiration for this story, and I think that's going to lend itself to a more mature story. I think it'll be a great way to explore the Clone Wars from a different angle. The Clone Wars series, I love it. There's definitely aspects of it where it gets super dark and it has some real-world situations and themes, but I do think there is an air of levity to some of the Clone Wars big battles, like the Battle of Geonosis, that I think this show could bring that Andor lens to, and I think that's really exciting moving forward. They've also mentioned that the game has permanent consequences, at least on some difficulty levels, so if your squad mates die, they kind of die for real, and that brings me to like a Mass Effect type storyline, which is so exciting because I played the Mass Effect trilogy, the remaster of it, a couple summers ago, and I was just so enthralled with the decision making and with the real consequences that happen if you do fail, or even when you make the right choices, you still lose teammates. So I like that you can kind of craft your own story if they follow through on this promise. It's also a really interesting crew of characters. We have a Mandalorian, we have some sort of clone who defected to a degree. We have a Two Tubes species Jedi Padawan, it looks like. We have an Umbaran, and then we also have the leader of the crew, Hawks, who is fully customizable. So in the trailers, he's a guy, but I believe you can make him an alien, you can make him a woman, you can change him up however you like, and he's essentially the main commander of this fighting force. And I think I'll reference Mass Effect again. We'll have some loyalty missions, or we'll have some missions where you have to work together and have certain teammates rely on each other, and that will build up their chemistry and will maybe make you a stronger squad as a whole. And we'll get a lot of cool story details about their backgrounds and so forth and so on. They've also mentioned that, you can have these main party members, but then you could also customize the whole group however you like. So you could have like a full group of astromech droids, which they said is fun, but probably not the most pragmatic way to go about these missions. But I think the big takeaway here is that player choice seems to be at the forefront, and that's what makes the most successful games beloved. So they're saying all the right things for me here. Even though it's a game genre that I haven't had much experience with, I think the talent's there. I think the story is there. And overall, I'm really excited for it. I want Star Wars video games to get back to where they were in the golden age. I want Star Wars video games to bring in non-Star Wars fans. And I just want things to be good for Star Wars across the board, from TV to movies to video games.